What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a NFL draft sleeper that the Detroit Lions could potentially target this offseason or in the draft. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
And welcome, everybody, to the video. Glad you guys are here. And, man, we are literally, get this, 19 days away from the NFL draft. Oh, snap! I asked you guys in the community today, what kind of videos do you guys want to see that the draft is coming so close? Because I know for the last couple of days, I've been slightly inconsistent with my uploads. I do apologize. Well, one, because of taxes, I was trying to get that stuff done. So that took a lot of time. Okay, that was about 2 days ago. That was just grinding on that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Or yesterday, which was about, 6 to 7 hours, where I just watched draft prospects and I got no videos out of it. But I watched a lot of prospects. I just didn't have any videos. But it did help me learn. That's kind of the mode I'm in right now, is just draft mode. I mean, that's what it is. So let me know in the comments below what kind of videos you guys want to see. And I looked in the community, and a lot of suggestions were mid to late round picks, also some trade back stuff. We'll talk about that for sure, but some mid to late round prospects. So that's what we're going to take a look at in today's video. This one, however, is a sleeper. So I think I'm going to give you guys an interesting one today, but continue to let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see with the draft coming soon. I will get back on the mocking the mock. So make sure you guys send in some mock drafts by social media to me. I know I'm been a little bit behind on my social media, but I do have a couple I have planned to react to, but continue to send those in, because now we're going to get back on those now that free agency has really slowed down and we have less than 3 weeks until the draft. You guys, in 19 days, we're going to be hearing, this is not weird, this is normal. Normal YouTube people do this, okay? This is what YouTube people do. All right, hold up. I'm sorry. I got to turn the volume up. I don't know why we're doing. All right, here. Oh, coming in 19 days. So, guys, we got to get on this draft stuff. So let me know in the comments what kind of draft videos you want, because I want to give you guys the videos that you want. And since a lot of you guys asked for mid to late round videos and mid to late round prospects, I think I got a good one for you guys today. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a draft sleeper, in my opinion. Once we get into it, I'll explain why I think he is the definition of a draft sleeper, and also, obviously, why I like him as a player and why I'm very excited. And you guys read the title. This is cornerback Olaijah Griffin out of USC. Now, some of you may know who this is. Some of you may know who it is because of his dad, Warren G., who is a hip-hop artist. Some of you may know who it is because of high school, and he was such a highly recruited player coming out of high school. Or you may be a Pac-12 fan, or a USC fan, or maybe an Oregon fan. You've seen him a few times. I'm not sure. But he is extremely, extremely overlooked, and definitely the definition of a sleeper. Let's talk about how big of a sleeper this guy really is, okay? And this is by the national media. CBS, they put out their rankings by position for prospects, right? I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but they put out the rankings. He wasn't even listed for cornerbacks. Wasn't even on the list. Wasn't on there. Athlon Sports wasn't on their list. Many people are looking at him and ranking him around like 260 on their big board. So I guess at least they have him ranked. At least he's on there. You know, at least he's on there. But I'm like, what? You guys aren't even ranking this dude? Like, please tell me you forgot. Please tell me you forgot, because this is crazy. This is crazy. This guy has way too much talent to not be ranked. Are there some concerns with this game? Yes, and we're going to get into those. Are there some reasons which he would be overlooked? Yes, but not that overlooked. So let's get into it. Let's do a quick little background on who Olaijah Griffin is, and then we'll start to get into his college play, things that have went wrong, all of that. So going back to his high school days first, he comes out as a 4-star high school recruit that actually turns into a 5-star high school recruit that was getting offers from teams like Alabama, Tennessee, Pac-12. I mean, he was getting looks from some of the best schools in the nation, best football schools in the nation, which obviously means you were doing something right in high school. Going back to his sophomore year in high school, he was looking like he could have been a receiver at the next level, because he had over 1,600 yards receiving and 23 total touchdowns. He was also a punt and kick returner at high school. So he was doing some impressive stuff, but that actually helped him on the defensive side of the ball as he became a defensive back, a cornerback at the next level. Final year of high school, 2017, he was a Max Preps All-American first team player, which is very impressive. I mean, you think about all the players in the country, to be an All-American first team player is extremely impressive. So then he enters the college football world. He decides to stay close to home, so he goes and commits to USC after decommitting from a couple of other places. So he goes to USC, and in 2018, his freshman season, let's just say it didn't go as planned. It wasn't the perfect story for Olaijah Griffin. In 2018, he didn't play a ton defensively, and there was a lot of hype. He only had 8 total tackles. He was mainly a special teams player, which is kind of expect, I mean, he's only a freshman, right? From high school to college is a lot. It's a big transition. So he didn't play a ton defensively. But not only that, he also had injuries, and the injury bug really hit Olaijah Griffin. I'm talking about a player that in 2019 dealt with a shoulder injury that limited to 8 games played, that he re-injured against UCLA, which meant that in the offseason, he would have shoulder surgery to fix both, which I guess is a good thing that he had shoulder surgery to fix it. Then 2019 comes around. And in 2019, those high expectations, well, while he may not have completely lived up to them, he did play pretty darn well. He played pretty darn well. He allowed on 54 targets, 23 receptions, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 67.7 pass rating. Pretty solid cover stats. He also had 37 total tackles, and he led the team in pass breakups with 9. So there were definitely some solid stats there. While he didn't have the interceptions, he was still able to make plays on the football, and in 2019, it was enough to earn him all Pac-12 honorable mention. So still some impressive stuff. But again, the injuries hit, and it came near the end of the season, and it limited to only 10 games played. This time, it was a back injury. So then you head into 2020. And 2020, last season, obviously was shortened by COVID. He only played in 6 games, but it was definitely his best season. The good thing for Olaijah is that he had his best for last happen most recently. In 6 games played last season, take a look at these covered stats, okay? These aren't made up. This is legit. In 2020, in the 6 games that he played, he was targeted 17 times. Nearly 400 snaps played, targeted 17 times, giving up 8 receptions. 6 games, 8 receptions allowed for 101 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 41.5 passer rating. Numbers don't always tell the story, but those are some really solid numbers. And what he's missing here is those interceptions to get people excited. But what he does have is making plays on the football, leading the team in pass breakups in 2019. Passes 1 to 9 yards, he allowed 5 completions on 10 targets. 1 to 9 yards, a 50% completion percentage, playing the outside cornerback position. That is impressive, very impressive. He had 2 forced incompletions and allowed a 26.3 passer rating on 1 to 9 yards in 2020. 26.3? Come on, man. 10 to 19 yards wasn't as favorable on 4 targets, 3 receptions. Not as good there. However, on 20 plus yards, on 3 targets, 0 completions allowed for a 39.6 passer rating. So let's just say he did save his best for last. And there was a lot to like in his final year. The reason it's so important that he saved his best season for last in his junior year is because, number one, he's not playing his senior year. There is still a year that he is bypassing heading into the draft and declaring for the draft now, which he did on his grandma's birthday, which I thought was pretty awesome. Having your best season for last means that to a lot of NFL teams that you have not hit your peak yet. You're still growing. You're still getting better. You haven't hit your ceiling yet. So if he played throughout all of his years, his best season came, let's say in his junior season, it's like, ooh. Was that his peak? Was that his ceiling? But he didn't play his senior season, and his best season came as a junior, his last year. It's a very important part. And I'm not here to say that, hey, the Pac-12 has the best receivers, because they don't. They don't have the best competition. But there are still some legitimate talents that are going to come out of the Pac-12 every year. I mean, Oregon's putting out tons of good players, including guys like Javon Holland. They're putting out multiple cornerbacks. I mean, they're putting out really good players. The Pac-12, look, you're not playing out of conference, so that stinks, right? 2020 didn't see out of conference games. 2019 did, which we'll get to, but 2020 didn't. But there are still some solid players. I mean, you're talking about DJ Johnson, Demetric Felton. I know he's a running back, but UCLA, Demetric Felton's going to be drafted somewhere. There are still some good players. Tavion Cunningham. There's one thing that's falling on the radar. There's another thing that's just being completely overlooked. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, injuries. Injuries have been there. It's caused him to miss some time. It's caused him to not find his field consistently, and he's slightly inexperienced because of the time that he has missed. And as a freshman, early in his career with USC, really didn't live up to the hype coming out of high school. Those are 2 major reasons. What's the third reason? It's his build. At 6 foot, 175 pounds, he is looked at as a very undersized outside cornerback. Now, this wouldn't be an issue if he played slot corner in college. The thing is, he didn't play that. He played the outside cornerback position. Underweight did not stop him from playing on the outside cornerback position. He has the height, but he is underweight. And what's concerning is that he came into USC at 172 pounds. He left his final year at USC 175 pounds. Now, the size does show up, but let me just explain to you what I saw in his game, all right? The things that I like and the things that I'm concerned with. Let's start off with what I like about his game and why I look at him as a sleeper target. Now, we've had a couple of sleeper videos. We did a sleeper video. Our first one was on Kellen Mond, which was so long ago. Guys, think about how long ago this video was. This came out when football was still being played. When college teams were still playing football, we did a Kellen Mond video. NCAA basketball is over. Man, time really flies, okay? So we've done a few of these videos, and I think this is another good one. All right, let's first start off with what I like. This is the football spirit, the passion. It just oozes out when you watch him play. Seriously. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it. The only way I can really explain this is by letting you watch, because he just oozes out passion when he plays. There is a aggressiveness play style to his nature. I just want to play football and I want to dominate. I mean, it's just something about his play style. He walks around with a swagger. He has his teammates back. In a talk, he's going to get in your face. He's going to be annoying, but he just brings the confidence and swagger to the game that you love.
Now, this is a weird play, so I think I should talk over it while I show this play, because otherwise you wouldn't have any idea what I'm showing here. Now, this is, okay, look, he doesn't make a play on the ball here. Look at him. He's number 2. He's at the bottom of the screen here. This is going to be like, I think this is like a reversal play, and I just like the fact that he finds a way to end up on the screen, all right, in your field of vision. Look how far away from this play. He could easily just, not pursue this play, just kind of give up on it. I mean, you see this all the time. It doesn't look like he's going to show himself in this screen again. But at the end of the play, you see the number 2 on your screen. I just love the fact that he's just trying to get back in this play, trying to get involved. I love that. That to me just shows the kind of fight that he has in his game. I love that.
Before we get into what I like from him in terms of play. All right, first off, he's zone and man versed. Okay, he has experience playing both of those. He can play man coverage and zone coverage. But man coverage, he is one of the best man coverage graded cornerbacks in the country last season. One of the best man coverage cornerbacks in the country last season, while still lacking some size for the outside cornerback position. I mean, 2019, same thing. He went up against Chase Claypool on the outside, and let me just say, he battled. Chase Claypool in that game had 3 receptions for 47 yards. I don't know exactly how many of those were given up against Olaijah Griffin, but I can tell you what, when Griffin was matched up, there is no back down in this game. The guy shows tremendous heart. Now let's talk about him as a run defender really quickly before we start getting into the coverage, what he's good and not good at. As a run defender, of course, his size can limit him, but he does his best not to let it limit him. He is one of the most aggressive corners against the run that I have seen. He's the type of player that's not going to let you block him out of the play. At least he will try not to. Rodarius Williams, one thing I noticed is that really up until this season, he too easily gets blocked out of the play. That's not an issue with Olaijah Griffin. He will not let you block him out of the play if he can do anything about it. Battle with you to just make sure that he can get involved in run plays. Just want to stop in real quick to let you guys know that if you guys were ever interested in investing in our favorite sports teams like us as Detroit Lions fans, you guys should check out www.symbol.app. It's a way to basically invest in your favorite sports team and earn a payout when your team wins. So for us as Detroit Lions fans, now we can finally invest in something that we actually know. And with the draft coming up very soon, this is your opportunity to get involved. You guys can use promo code DOD for a $10 bonus deposit. Check it out. Big reason he had 37 total tackles in his second year at USC because he battled as a run defender. He's not going to let you just push him out of the play, and that is what it is. He also will hit you. He will go down and try to lay the boom at 175 pounds. The tackler, I don't like the fact that he does tackle sort of high. He does tackle sort of high, but he still grades out positively. He grades out above average in terms of run defending from the cornerback position. 175-pound cornerback that does not back down. And I love it. I love it. Now, let's talk about some coverage for a second. Like I said, he can play both in man and zone scheme. He was one of the best man coverage cornerbacks in the country last season by grades, which is awesome. He's got really good feet. He's very quick. He transitions extremely well. His hips are very loose. Transition from back pedal while flipping his hips and turning and running with the receiver very effortlessly. His footwork did look a little messed up, I would say, at his pro day. It didn't look very clean at his pro day, and that did concern some people. But if you didn't watch this guy's film, if you don't go back and just watch him play, that will really concern you. But you can just tell the guy can play the game of football. And yeah, he may have some things that he needs cleaned up, which good coaching can really help you with. And when you have really good coaches, which I believe we have in Aaron Glenn and Aubrey Pleasant, specifically Aaron Glenn, who's now our defensive coordinator, I think he's going to help you a lot. I think he can help you a lot. And we've seen him do it with undrafted players. It's difficult to really see how good he is at the point of attack, making play on the football, because he didn't get targeted that often. 17 targets in 6 games isn't that much. Really, a lot of his targets actually came late into play when there was no pass rush and the quarterback would just stand kind of all day and they throw it to his side. A lot of times his targets came like that. They would come late into play because, he would hold up early, but they weren't able to get after the quarterback. They just didn't throw his way that often. That's some injuries. That's caused him to miss time. But let me say, the line, they're not afraid to bring in guys that have injuries. And not only that, when Aaron Glenn was with the New Orleans Saints, they drafted a guy that really only had one great year on his resume. The rest he was dealing with injuries, specifically hamstring injuries. The cornerback out of Ohio State, Marshawn Lattimore, who they drafted at number 10. At number 10 in the draft, a guy that was riddled with hamstring injuries that caused him to really only have one, season. Was it a great season? Yes, it was. I'm not here to give Olaijah Griffin credit for USC being more competitive, but in the last two seasons, the two seasons that he's played way more defensively, they have been a much improved team. A team in 2019 that went 7-2, and a team that last season went 5-1 in the 6 games played. They have been a much better team that was when he arrived, and in 2018, where he didn't play much defensively, they were 4-5. There has been a clear improvement, and that's not because of Olaijah Griffin on his own, but he's part of that. He's been part of that piece, and he's been the outside corner that you can rely upon. I'm telling you, the game that sold me was watching him against Notre Dame. Are injuries going to be slightly concerning? Yes, injuries are going to be concerning. His size to me is the biggest concern thing because he struggles with press coverage because he's not always able to throw you off the route. And sometimes that can be a disaster. There is a play to me, which I saw, where he gets beat at Washington State, where he's going against an outside receiver. I cannot remember his game. I think his name was Calvin, I can't exactly remember. I mean, that's interesting. But anyways, he was going one-on-one, and he tried to press, and the guy went completely by him because his initial punch at the line of scrimmage isn't always effective. Actually, most of the time, it's not effective. And that can lead to some issues because he tries to have that first punch land in the press and bump and run and go. But if it's not effective, he's caught flat-footed, he's late, and then he has to try to recover. And he is athletic, doesn't have the best recovery speed. And if a receiver gets a head start on you like that and you're caught flat-footed, there's going to be a problem no matter how fast you are. And you saw that show up. Now, luckily for him, that play went incomplete. Lastly, he plays the game of football like the game of football is supposed to be played. Aggressively, physically, shooting down, trying to make plays on the football. No hesitation, no fear. He plays it with a lot of courage. But he does get a little grabby. He has had tendencies of getting handsy. He has some flags. A lot of them come in holding plays because he kind of just grabs and just does a little bit too much where you just need him to kind of calm back. You just need him kind of hold him back, pull him back a little bit, need him to calm down a little bit because it's not always necessary for him to do that. And that can lead to some flags. If you would have played slot corner in college, I think that actually helped him a lot for his draft because people would have seen the versatility. They're like, oh, we can play him at slot if he's slightly undersized. But since he hasn't done that, people don't completely know if he can play slot at the next level. I mean, he's quick. He's got great feet, great hips. You want to believe that he could do it, and it would help his size a lot more because he's so aggressive. So I believe that he could actually possibly play slot at the next level, but it may take a little bit of time for him to adjust to that. So you have to be willing, if you drafted him, to give him some time to adjust if you're going to try to make him play that role. But like I said, he does have some flags because he can get a little grabby, but I think it's always easier to pull someone back than make someone play with more energy. But he's definitely going to bring the energy play in and play out, and it really, every player kind of feeds off the energy. You can kind of see it. I mean, they're always just kind of riled up as a defense, which is really cool. I was actually very entertained watching USC's defense through a lot of different games because they just always seem to kind of be getting after it. So that was really awesome. It's sort of tall for the slot role. I'm not saying a 6-foot guy can't do it. It might just take a little bit to adjust, and they didn't do that with him in USC. So it would take him some time, good forward, good coaching. It may take a year to get him there. Honestly, it may take a whole year to get him to that level. But the lack of versatility is probably his biggest issue, in my opinion, because he can play the outside position, no question about it, but he is slightly undersized, and certain matchups could give him a problem at the next level, and you don't want to have that, right? So you want to be able to at least move him around, and if you can get him to play slot, at least you can move him out of those situations at the next level. Or you have to find a way to make him stronger. Build up a little more muscle. Put a little more muscle mass on him. He has not been able to do so far at USC. I don't know if they tried to do it or not, but if he can put up a little more muscle mass, that could allow him to be strictly just an outside corner because he can play the game. It's just certain matchups could be an issue physically. I think the size is honestly more of a projected issue because he plays with so much heart that it doesn't really factor as much in the run game as you would think. I mean, here are way worse run defenders that have way more size that shouldn't be, as ineffective as they are. He's so effective as a run defender because he just gets after it. He's just so physical and aggressive. So he has that side. It's more of a projected issue. Oh, if there's these big receivers he has to go against that are super fast, could he have problems on the outside? Maybe. It didn't show as much up in college because he was able to hold his own and he took on the challenge of if his tight end lines up across me, I'm gonna take that job on. I'm gonna do what I can and I'm just gonna be more physical. The only thing that really shows up physically is the big issue in coverage is his jams not being that effective. That's where he's gonna have to improve that strength, or he's gonna have to do like the Saints did where certain matchups you go against those bigger guys, you just stop the jam. You just don't jam at the line and you just drop right off. And you can do that. The Saints did that in certain matches with some of their corners last season because they didn't feel like they had, the best matchups there. But again, it takes some versatility away. So there's a couple of options you have with him. He may not be completely 100% ready to go surefire this season, but if he's going to be a day 3 pick and the Lions have the depth there, they don't really need it that much this year. They can use him as a developmental piece. So for next year, when all these one-year deals are away, he could be a big part of your defense. Monte Smith in a way where Smith, 175 pounds at receiver is concerning, but the guy can also play football. And there's a reason he won the Heisman. The guy can play ball. Not saying you draft him at 70 for the Lions, but he can play the game of football. And that's what I see with Griffin. Size can't hold him back, and you would love them to put on some more muscle if he's going to be if you're going to draft him. You want this guy to put on more muscle. There is no question about it. But can he play the game of football? Yes, and he saved his best for last. You can trust him in coverage. He can play man and zone. He's one of the best man coverage corners in college football. He has some inexperience, but like Marshawn Lattimore, missed some time due to injuries, right? But he came out, he played it, saved his best for last. He can just play the game of football. Just the fact that he oozes heart. All right, there's so much heart in this guy's game. He's got the swagger. He's going to back your teammates. This is the type of guy that you want to go to battle with. He really is. He really is, okay? This is the type of guy that you want to go out there and you want to say, that guy's across from me at corner. He hasn't had the playmaking. He hasn't had the interceptions. He doesn't have the 4 picks that are going to get you excited, but he does have the pass breakups. He'll make the plays. He'll get in his position. So what concerns people? Injuries, not having a ton of interceptions, not playing for a team that you see in the college football playoffs. You know, you just don't think of USC. Even though they have really improved, you just don't think of USC that often. The fact that the size can be an issue, and it hasn't been something that's greatly improved, but the guy can play the game of football, and I'm telling you, if this guy falls to day 3, which there's a very good chance that he does, and the Lions are saying, we want a cornerback, whether that's because they trade back or whatever, and if they're sitting there 5th round and they're saying, you know, we really want to grab another corner, and Olaijah Griffin's on the board, if the Lions are not too thrown off by his size, if they're okay with it, because if you look at the Saints cornerbacks, a lot of them are hovering around 190. He is kind of small, but he has the height. If they're not worried about that size, and they want a guy that's going to go to battle, and that can play the position, and can simply ball, and we've seen it even going back to high school, Olaijah Griffin might be your guy. Would I take him in mid-rounds? Probably not. I probably wouldn't, to be honest. Do I think that he could be worth a mid-round pick? I do. But I think he falls to day 3 because I would wait then. I'd wait for day 3. And if he falls to day 3 and you want another corner, Olaijah Griffin is the guy that you should consider drafting. Also, listen to his dad's music. It's honestly pretty chill. I think it was on GTA as well. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.